Am I unmuted? Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
Hi. Um, Hi, everyone. I'm not really sure how this is all sorted. If we are live,
Mm-hmm.
Live.
We're live.
we
Live.
are live. How amazing is that? And it's so good to be with all of you here at this powerhouse of a session. I don't know if you all ladies have been listening to some of the amazing speakers ahead of
Yeah.
us. I wanted to jump in and hug some of them before. Well, we have a
Sure.
really interesting session today. We are meant to see how we are going to use technology and the metaverse to create non-violent, nurturing communities of the future. Um, as we are all gathered, I think that's all of us here. I would love to start by having you each introduce yourselves a little bit and just a little bit on your backgrounds, and we'll start in this conversation that I think we could talk about it about the topic for much longer than the time we have. But I'm hoping that this is going to be the start of a mega collaboration. I am super excited. Ooh, I have a lot in store for you. Okay, so who wants to go first?
I can.
Well,
Excellent.
go ahead,
Please.
Hadil.
Yeah, because I'm a journalist, I used to to start. So, I'm Hadil Arja. I'm a journalist with more than 17 years of experience in conflict and war zone. That made me realize the importance of covering human interest stories from war zones. In 2020, I launched Tiny Hand, a website that focuses on gathering stories that shows the impact of conflict on children and the challenges they face in war zone. Tiny Hand uses the most advanced technology that helps create an interaction with audience and make them part of the story. I'm also co-founder of Frontline and Focus XR, winner of Google News Initiative. This independent news agency uses virtual reality and augmented reality to deliver human stories from Warzone. Nice to meet you all, and thank you so much for having me with you today.
Oh, this is amazing. Well, I can't wait to tell you about my children's the session that I'm working on for lessons from the children of conflict
Wow,
from
wow,
Ukraine to Yemen. But we'll
wow.
talk about that in a bit later. Sarah, do you want to pick up?
Sure. Kia ora tātou. My name is Sarah from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I just started greeting our atua and to you all, where the lands, the seas, and the mountains that you come from. We always start our greetings in that way because it focuses us firstly on a spiritual level, but also on our environment. Where we come from. So I founded Māori Lab only a couple of years ago, first in law, and then seeing the harms and the benefits of AI. Māori Lab seeks to collaborate with organisations, businesses, especially tech providers, tech creators, to ensure that there is diversity lenses at the decision-making table from the creation of AI through to deployment. But being Māori and Indigenous person of Aotearoa, I also work with our own community, my own community, and also the focus is on the children, as they are the ones that are the native, tech natives, and are through gaming. A lot of gaming is violent, as we know. It's what captures their imagination. So I'm just starting actually in February, going into schools, talking to them, creating awareness about AI, data, and employment pathways for the future. How does that relate to non-violence in the community and climate resilience? Well, those are two huge topics, can I just say? But everything that we do as Indigenous people, our values cover every single
Yes.
issue, if you like. Non-violence or violence is one, and obviously climate resilience, because we are so deeply connected to the planet. So that is me for now. Thank you.
Oh my God, thank you, Sarah. Okay, Chen?
Yes. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So now I work for Girls in Tech, the Finland chapter, and we have like a lot of also speak with a lot of wonderful women in the tech field, and I specialize in the SR field because I also like cooperate with the EDVF. We have a lot of kind of speech or conference inside, and I just noticed it's so important to have like SR stuff because you can really we our member like from I'm in Finland, here is -20, and some people in Taiwan, some people in USA, but we have wonderful interaction inside, and a lot of sharing inside. So this kind of thing make me think it's really important to have develop this kind of stuff because we really can have a climate resilient future. Because if it's in old time, I have to fly a 10-hour, 20-hour, just go to far away, just have this kind of gathering. But if we keep developing this kind of stuff, we really can transforming a lot of community or help a lot of people, because I believe this technology really like protect yourself, everyone in the safe environment, and you don't need to go out have some, I don't know, harm because of climate or something else. So that's why I'm really into this SR. And I also work with Taiwan. We have a text the SR hub, and government also develop a lot of project on this. We call like digital transformation center. So I'm really happy to be here to see so many wonderful women here, yeah, to like talk about this topic. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Athena?
Hi, I'm Athena Demos, and I am the co-founder of Big Rock Creative. And we came into existence to bring community together. It was to bring the Burning Man community together after the cancellation of Burning Man in 2020, and then again in 2021. And we have an event in a couple weeks. We're doing our reburn on January 27th through the 29th. So everyone's welcome to come. It'll be on the AltSpace platform, and we create space for community to exist. And so while we're talking about transforming communities, the beginning of that is just create a space for community to exist within. And then as they create together, as they collaborate, that wonderful soup of communal effort, that they will transform as individuals, as groups, and as communities. We've since then won lots of awards, and then started working with lots of other brands and communities, bringing their cultures in, working with them to find out what their company culture is, their brand cultures, and bringing, whether it's their fan base or their employees or the organizational culture, and helping them bring them into a virtual reality space so that they can be together without the boundaries of countries and flying and the crazy carbon footprint of trying to bring everyone together. Not to mention the pandemic is still with us, that we're able to come together safely and share ideas and collaborate together in these amazing digital spaces. And moving into the future, we're meshing the physical and the digital worlds together so that we can have both of those worlds as one of what we consider to really be the metaverse, is when it's all interconnected.
Wow. I have to tell you, now I know why Chris put us all together. Suzanne, please.
Hi, my name is Susan Oslin, and I am working on a project right now called Concrete Oasis. I have a long history in digital media, and I am working in specifically geospatially located augmented reality. And I have a strong belief that immersive technology and all emerging technologies, the power of them really can be used to transform societies and make a positive difference, a positive impact on the world. So I'm working now on a project around water sustainability in Los Angeles. and it's designed to bring people together. Because it's location based, people need to come to the location to experience it. And I really believe that there's magic in transforming a live space into a combination of a digital and real space combined. And so my belief is that this is a very powerful and engaging, intriguing medium to help people to understand, to create empathy in a way that people are motivated towards behavior change. And so I'm super excited to be here and to meet all of you women and to see the amazing ways that you're using technology for good and for us to learn from each other.
Thank you. My God, this is so exciting. Keisha, last but not least, certainly,
Yes,
please.
hi. My
Our
name is
counselor.
Keisha Brown. Oh, wonderful. My name is Keisha Brown, and I'm the founder and CEO of Justice Connection. So we are the first online platform that's dedicated to connecting you with Black lawyers here in the United States. But we do intend to expand global, right? Because Black lawyers are everywhere, Black people are everywhere. And it's really important as we are enabling technology, right? Like where we're harnessing the power of technology to further our missions, to transform communities in different ways, that we are able to meet those communities where they are. And so my lane sort of is that justice realm and looking at being able to transform my community, harnessing the power of technology with a justice lens. And, I'm very excited to be here because I believe that, my background is in equal employment, as well as police brutality and protecting folks with their civil rights as a civil rights lawyer. And so there's so much intersection, right? When you talk about Native people and you talk about the future and you talk about young women and girls and how we are looking at all of these things for that nonviolent and climate resilient future that we all intend and how we all fit together. So I'm excited to have this conversation.
Again, thank you. So I will introduce myself a bit more. I'm Lubna Dajani. I am a systems architect and creator of Alternate. I'm working on a project called Kind Human, building living labs. I think we need to disrupt so many of the existing sectors. I think all systems have come to a point of failure if they've ever been actually fit for purpose. I can't tell you how much I love everything that you all have said. The idea here is what I'm driving for is to bring STEAM innovations together with design thinking, game theory, and change theories to apply to solving the world's problems, most pressing environmental and socioeconomic problems as specified by the communities. I think aid doesn't work as it stands, but if we, as it tries to, it's more like kind of like taking over rather than listening. We're telling, and we need to do the knowledge transfer. We need to bring the technology. We need global rallying the global innovations to support local, hyper local solutions that bring out the indigenous wisdom, the culture of a community, and be able to share it. So when I got very excited about what you were saying about the children, because I think by listening to the children and bringing children together, we can to learn from each other. Maybe we can start unraveling this deeply rooted biases that we have and discrimination that we have implemented, and then by bringing these labs to local communities, it disrupts lab and marketing. So we're talking about creating what we call build-a-thons, where innovators can bring their technologies to solve for the problems that were specified by that community, to heal it, to create really environmental healing and restore human dignity. Of course, that requires a significant mindset shift, and having I loved what you said, Athena, about the metaverse. I don't want to see us all with a thing on our faces and wasting our lives, which is very precious and short in the big scheme of things, to imagine what would be, but rather as a portal to bring us together closer, to experience each other's well-being and existence, and to get to know about each other. So with that, I don't even know where to begin or who to ask, but please tell me, how do you think we can actually begin to apply these technologies? What can we do today in the immediate future to break down these barriers? Do we start with? Let me start with you, Hadia.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, because for us working in media for years and years, and we know today it's not only about to take a photograph or write a simple article, because we are talking about places that they are under war for years and years, and the audience, they feel bored of these stories. They don't want to hear these stories anymore. They don't engage, and when the audience stop engaging with the stories, newsrooms stop covering these stories, and that's why we feel bad about this, because it's not about trafficking or engaging, because it's about creating new ways to deliver these stories to the audience. We have this amazing technology. We have to use this technology. AR and VR are amazing. And the other important thing that we should, when we want to talk with audience, we should use their tools, because the new generation, they have their own ways. They are familiar with VR and AR, and for us, the newsroom, especially in my region, they are stuck to the classical way of writing, of covering stories. But that's why you don't get that traffic and engagement that you want from your coverage. So when we start working in Frontline in Focus XR using VR and AR, we start finding that we are creating a new audience, new generation. 20s and 30s. We need the older generation, but we need to target this new generation, and that's why we were amazed by the results. But at the same time, and this is very important, we need to educate people here in the region, because they are not familiar with they don't know the difference between VR and AR, and they don't know what even metaverse means. Every time we post a story, we need to post with it, for example, 10 steps, how to interact with the story, how to scan this QR code. And when you scan this QR code, you should point your mobile to some empty space, and you will suddenly find some refugee man who will tell you his story. He will tell you. It's amazing technology, but how can we reach the audience and tell them how to use this technology? It's also a challenge. And the other challenge that we were working on, to train local reporters. You need to train them how to do the scanning 3D, how to use the 360 cameras. But it was a very nice challenging, because the result was amazing. And we have today, I'm so happy to meet you all, because we have a lot of companies that for us as a media and journalists, there is this shortcut. If you want to do an AR story, you don't need this server, or you can go to some company and you have this deal, and you will get an amazing result. So yeah, it's a challenging, but it's very important. And another thing about climate change, it's not something different. It's an important issue, and it's when we talk about front lines, it's part of the daily life of refugees. It's part of their challenges. They don't know that, but I'm gonna give you this example for a refugee who started planting small plants next to his tent. He said, "These plants make me feel good because it's cooling the air," and this is kind of climate change, This is very nice. It's a very successful story. Even he doesn't know. When we cover this story, maybe others, they will find that, okay, this is a nice solution that we can do it by ourselves. So
I think
yeah,
Celia,
please.
you bring up a really good point about we just need to start using the technology, and yeah, there are a lot of things that we don't necessarily know how to do, and like teaching people how to scan or look for an open spot to see the augmented reality. But I think the important thing is that we start, and that like over time it builds, and we figure it out, and the audience figures it out. And the important thing I think sometimes is just to start and not worry about having all of those details figured out, that we all will learn along the way.
totally agree with us.
I did have a question, actually, Hadil, and that is when you were talking about the issues you're facing, I was wondering, why is it that you cover stories? Like, what is it that you want to achieve in covering your story from the audience, and also for the person whose story you are sharing?
Thank you so much, Sarah, for this question. Actually, before I start my own project, I was part of a newsroom in a very big company. And every time we want to cover a story about people in war zone, they said, my manager said, no, this story, we face this story every day, and it will not bring us this impact, and it's not important. But for me, it's important to create a way to attract the audience, because when you attract the audience, they will interact with this story, and it will leave an impact, then it will lead to an action. And this is our message as a journalist. And we have great technology. We can't separate ourselves. We should use these technologies, because VR and AR, it's not only about gaming or educating or health sector. We are part of it as a worker in media. And when I start working in this, I was amazed by the result, and I believe that it's time to move to this next level. We can it can be ethical, and we have our guidelines, and we can do all of this and use this technology.
Community,
Sure,
our
Sarah,
community. From our community.
Sarah, I don't know if you can. I think your connection is freezing a bit. I wanted to, while we get Sarah's connection sorted.
Oh, we lost her.
Yes, I figured it was. I'm sure she'll be back shortly. But one question I wanted to ask you, ladies, as I think about, as I listen to you and talk about how we're educating people, I always think that it's important. How do we ensure that we're good, even digital access to this technology? I mean, there's some of the people, and whether it's in conflict zones or zones that are most areas that are most impacted by climate or by conflict, their access to the technology is limited. How do we design? How do we think? What kind of in terms of laws that we can put together? What can we do, or what are we doing to ensure that equitable access?
Well, the biggest problem we have with equitable access is the internet. We have all these technologies, but they're useless without the internet. So if we can't connect with people, then we could put all the hardware in the world in their hands. But if they don't have internet access, which is provided by their governments, or at least the access to it is, then there's nothing we can do. I do quite a bit of traveling. I live nomadically, and the internet speeds, or the fact that they're not available, or that cellular is not available in so many areas, that it doesn't matter whether they have a VR headset or a tablet or even a phone, because they can't connect. So in order to have tech equity, the very first thing we need to do is have connection equity, so that everyone has a baseline amount of connectivity to the internet in some way so that, they can connect. But for the ones that do and are able to connect, we're without borders. We can all come together, and that was something we saw when we produced the BRCVR, is that we had people from all over the world that had no access to go to Burning Man that now had access to that community. So while I'd love to connect war-torn areas, they're in survival mode, and they may or may not even have electricity. Same with areas that are being ravished by climate change. They have basic power issues just to keep the lights on in their homes, if they have homes.
Exactly.
So when we're talking about using these technologies, I mean, I hate to say let's not focus on who doesn't have connectivity and power. They need connectivity and power, and that's a problem. But I have no ability to solve that problem. But what I can do is bring people together and encourage conversations away from these borders and create, like, we have this opportunity to create a societal foundation that we all want to live within and practice, use the metaverse as a practice format, and then take that home with us and take home the understanding of these different cultures that do have access to this technology because they have power grids that will stay up, and they have internet that allows them to come on. But the internet and the power thing, that is a large problem that isn't going to get solved quickly.
I would definitely agree, if I may, to
Yes.
back on that. Just, and especially as women, right? Like, we are engaging in technology in ways that we haven't before, and demanding our place and access and utilizing technology to do what we've always done, right? Which is connecting our community. And so I think, the metaverse is only as strong as the people who are in it, right? And so there's an aspect of our work that is essentially tied to grassroots. And how do we, leverage our relationships, the real life, or sort of, I know Athena and Athena knows Susan and Susan knows Sarah and Sarah knows Hadil, right? Like, though that inherent connectivity that allows the metaverse to be used for good, right? And we do that as women, I think, in ways that come very natural to us, right? Yeah. Being able to speak in different circles and to bring people together. And this is literally just in your kitchen or in your living room or, with your group of friends or in your neighborhood or in your civic association or in your religious, your spiritual realm. All of these different places that we as women interact and take our knowledge and take our resources, and then we're able to bring that also then to the metaverse and have that connection, so that those who don't have that activity with their electricity and the stability of their Wi-Fi, and this is anywhere from Baghdad to Baltimore that the same issues lie. That's right? But that we as women are on the ground doing the real work that really is connecting us all.
And I think we also need to consider when we are talking about local where there is internet, we still also have to think about accessibility and graceful degradation. For myself, if I'm working on something that's an augmented reality exhibit and we make the assumption, which of course isn't true, but that most people have a phone. Well, not everybody has a phone that can run AR, and so what happens to those people? And how does can the experience work if the AR doesn't work? Can you provide the content in a way that maybe isn't the full experience, but at least they get access to the content? And then also, what my team is thinking about doing is taking our show on the road. In building an environment in a trailer and bringing that to communities that wouldn't otherwise have access to, getting to downtown Los Angeles, and taking it to communities like the indigenous communities that are deeply impacted by the waterway systems in Los Angeles, and helping to heal and bridge and tell their stories in a way that's honest and impactful, and help to repair some of the damage that's been done, not just in terms of the physicality of the water, but have them know that they're being heard and their needs are being considered.
Sarah, we lost you before, so please. And then I have
talking about connectivity and where we live rurally is and poverty is a huge issue. Lots of single mums, you know, we know those stories. So I'm so pleased that was raised in my absence, that the basics of infrastructure, but also what I was actually saying, the reason why I had my question of the why is the most important for us, because there's deep distrust in our communities of white knights and saviors coming in, telling us, what can we do for you, rather than say, well, and also because we've got our own solutions. We've got solutions, and they may not have reached technology in a digital sense, but it's just a matter of partnering with, and to me, that is restoring dignity.
That is right.
Just getting rid of that whole savior complex. I'm going to bring this up because it's pertinent to this question, but seeing Avatar, taking my 3 grandchildren to go and see Avatar, you know, that is to me still the white knight and that male and that Western perspective coming in. And interestingly enough, it was about climate resilience, if you like, with a whole lot of violence. And I just, you know, I think if we have diverse storytelling, you know, because so many cultures, and within a culture there's so much diversity, and amongst us as women, we're not all the same, and we don't have the same issues, and you know, there's a sameness, but it is funnily enough technology and COVID that has accelerated tech use to enable this to happen, real live conversations and decision-making abilities, planning, creating, deploying live with diverse, we're all diverse in different countries, different parts of the world, but we're bringing, it's the expansion of the kitchen, Keisha, that you were just talking about. And that is my big sort of bottom line. Having studied law, realizing law to me is like an analog version of algorithmic bias, is whoever is creating it, that's the who that creates the product, it's their values and worldviews that are reflected back. So in the law and the tech, you know, we have to ask, is tech the best solution in this circumstance? You know, not just jump on it because it's a new toy. And so this trust or mistrust, I have to go back to the community all the time and say, why AR, why VR, what on earth is the metaverse? How is that going to be good for me? Borderless scares a community. Borderless? How will they know our protocols? So that's what I do. I sort of do feel like I do 2 things, like being bilingual. At the same time, I'm going to corporates, techs, to say why they need to come into a community and sit a while. And I'm having to say to the community, let them in, let them in and see how we can partner. And I just read yesterday that one of the tribes further down in Aotearoa, they are partnering with a tech company in San Francisco for water. The words escape me. Because they live on the Whanganui River. The river was given personhood status a few years ago, so the river is treated like we would be treated.
Right.
So it's systemic change that's going to create.
Yes. So it is a mindset shift that we need. Technology, I have to say, I am a technologist, and I have been, you know, I've been a woman in bleeding edge tech innovations for 30 plus years, so you can imagine the battle and the scars. I had much more hair before. But technology is a tool. It is not a solution. And we need first and foremost, that is the most important thing. However, it's a very powerful tool. And exactly to your point, Sarah, the biases, it's who's designing it and where is that moral compass behind it and how we apply it. It's a magnifier. Information communication technologies are an accelerator, and it's exponential. And it magnifies what is inside. So if we continue to be driven by greed and domination, that is exactly what's going to happen. And it's just going to happen at a massive scale, at a painfully blinding scale. However, it is with the same speed, I believe, that we can flip it around by applying technology. So yes, maybe some places don't have access, but that's exactly where we need to be listening very carefully to these communities. And there are many innovations happening around that would provide the energy, that would there to solve for the energy for the communications. And mind you, we all know that the most impacted communities are the ones that are impacted as a result of what the privileged have done. But so I say I get very passionate about this stuff because I think we really need to do a lot of listening. And if the community designs the actually even just the challenge statement, we want this, we have that, then I think, or do you agree that, or not agree, or argue with me, and Hadira, I'll leave it with you to start, that we can actually utilize, we need to like dial up and down the use of technology based on the audience, and then how do we, and then utilize the metaverse so we can experience each other's environment. And I think there isn't anything more powerful than to learn from each other directly instead of, the propaganda or the painting someone in a corner. But you tell me what you think, and then after you, Hadil, I want to ask you, do you think there is how is it pipe dream to think that we can actually impact the laws? And I want to invite you all to start joining me in some of the standards work, because standards turn into policy and law. And if we don't participate in it, then it's only us to blame. So Hadil, with that, please.
Yeah, it was a great point of view, Luna, because as you mentioned, okay, for example, now we are working on the stories. It's without souls, about people who lost their beloved ones. But at the same time, we worked on this story as a VR and AR, and even we shooted a normal video and photos. So if you have strong internet, you can scan the QR code and you can see this mother talking about losing her children. Or if you don't have a strong connection, you can, if you have a strong connection, you can wear your headset, VR headset, and you can feel yourself that you are there. But at the same time, we wrote this story and we have normal videos. So I totally agree with you. We can't jump into the VR and AR and ignoring that people, they don't have internet or they don't have electricity, because we will lose an important audience. We are developing with this kind of technology, but we can delete the old-fashioned way of coverage. So I totally agree with you.
So I wanted to hear from you, Keisha, on the policy and law, as so much of it is can accelerate or leave us running amok here.
Yeah, in one of my former lives, I was the legislative director for the Maryland Attorney General. And in that opportunity, I was in Annapolis, which is our state capital in Maryland. And at one point, we were looking to do a new piece of legislation around making sure that children were better protected as far as their information. Because, kids are on there and they're like, sign me up. You want what? My social security? You want our address? Right? They're willing to give all their data. And so we were working on a law that would limit companies from even being able to ask those questions and to extract it if it was a child. And you'd think this is the type of legislation, right, that everybody be like, yes, we must protect the children. Everybody gather around. But no, out of nowhere, right, it was stopped. And it was stopped from really a Hollywood studio, right? So big motion picture in California found out about this bill and was like, we got to put an end to this.
Oh, lobby.
Because there are all these implications for how they're gathering information and how they're connecting with us and ways that we're not even always intentionally giving our information, right? That they're able to exchange it. And it was such an example of how big industry is always very alert at what the laws are not, and how to navigate accordingly, right? And so oftentimes we are looking for either the law to protect us in ways that we can say, okay, we can point to the law, and then other ways we're looking for the law to sort of enact, right? To do something, to step up where there is a void. And we have to really tap into that power we have as a constituent force, right, who are users of systems that need to demand that the system act accordingly, because big industry is doing that regardless, right? And they're doing it on our behalf oftentimes, unbeknownst to us.
On our behalf, for their benefit, you mean?
That's right, totally, right? And I will say this, that was always quite striking when working with legislators, and oftentimes we take for granted because we feel like we have to have money to get access and be influential to get access, or even to have a petition of thousands of people in order to get access. And the reality is that oftentimes elected officials don't hear from anyone. They hear from like 20 people, right? Yeah. Remember, they're representing like thousands of us. They're hearing from 20 people who are like, my light outside of my house is still not working, right?
Oh, I made that phone call just the other day.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it took 5 years though.
Yeah. You might be
very true.
Right? No, they don't hear from. So when they hear from, legislators will tell me, when I hear from 3 people who are in my district on something, it becomes something that I pay attention to. The threshold is so low because we're not engaging them. We're doing the work. We're women. We do the work, right? We're hitting the ground running. We're creating these communities. We identify problems and we look for solutions. And these people work for us, right, to develop laws and policies, and we often don't hold them accountable.
So between our AI capabilities, our metaverse and community building capacity, with our real life water and other hands-on activities, we, the women and we the people in general, but it's going to take I think that feminine energy to get us moving beyond this domination-based society, and to get our really, I say we elect, electing your official is like. It's self-exoneration, so that we can defer the responsibility to somebody else, shove our heads far up our back ends and say, oh my God, I'm a victim. We really need to step up and open up our mouth and start acting. And I think amongst us here, I think we can have a phenomenal collaboration, honestly, because people have to, with education and awareness, we can begin to and that's where I think the metaverse can play a phenomenal role here.
Yeah. We
can begin to understand in a safe environment the issues, and we can bring into each other's worlds, each other's in an engaging, actually, and fun way. Yes, ma'am.
If I may, I also want to say, just before, because I know you're about to switch out of this, but I want to just really quick make a plug for us to be able to stand in our expertise, right?
Yes.
Everyone here has a real serious, deep expertise, and our
Yes.
lawmakers are very ignorant overall, especially
Yes.
in this realm, right? Especially when it comes to the metaverse and artificial intelligence. They're looking at you with starry eyes like, what are you talking about? And so if we really show up as the experts that we are, we not only begin to command attention and be recognized as authority, but also we're able to then convey these key components that we as women bring to the table that are often left off the table because we're not present, right? We're not standing in our own expertise and showing up to say, oh, this is the work that I do. No one else is doing this. Or even if they are, I bring a unique perspective that must be a part of this conversation.
I
Amen.
agree, Keisha. I
Yeah.
absolutely agree, and have also found it hard to navigate that. I think we're a bit lucky, maybe because we're a small country, that our government has been listening. There are many Pacifica and Indigenous people in government. That always helps. Many women, clearly, we're led by a woman at the moment. That we have demanded
Yes.
many things, actually, to do with the well-being of everybody, including the planet. So on many levels, but it's still difficult to, as you just said, to say my perspective, what I've done, what I've learned, what I've researched, what I've just spent years gathering the data for is important. I think, yes, I still struggle with that firm, convicted speech that is, sort of self-reflecting. I find that still quite the difficult thing to say, but am of an age where I'm way less sort of not polite, but I'm way less worried about who I might offend when I can see that the bigger picture is I want our children to be safe. I want our single mums to be lifted out of poverty and violent households. I want our men to stand as men. I want the dignity. I want, as you said, Lubna, I think it's not just a human dignity. I think the planet needs some dignity restored.
That's right.
Not that the planet needs us to do that.
No,
but
before it shakes us off again.
But I, having that my legal background, I too saw the law was the instrument, and now it's data / algorithms and AI. That is what I want to focus on to start and show. So there's many layers of action that needs seeing to, from the law policy right through to face-to-face education, awareness, listening, more information gathering. So it's a huge job, but I think that we can. I love your enthusiasm, Livna. We can do it, and technology is actually going to help us.
Yeah, we can do it. And there's some great studies about building empathy by utilizing VR.
Yes, absolutely.
University, the Virtual Human Interaction Lab, they're doing incredible studies about ways in which we can utilize VR to build empathy around the environment and our planet, and it works. And now they're doing studies about people fully realizing themselves by being able to build their avatar. We're born this way, and we're a little bit limited on what we can do with our physical body unless we really get into surgery. And that's expensive. But you can make your avatar whatever you want and become what you want, and radically express yourself and feel more comfortable in your virtual skin. And all these things help us be more comfortable on the planet that we're on.
Yeah, and be more safe in being able to express your views. I think we've been so conditioned. I think there's been a lot of we are become very compliant and submissive. We don't even know how to question in fear of questioning. But the good news is, I think, when we go to take it back to access and limited access, the root problem of a lot of this stuff, and maybe it's much deeper, but it's relative to climate and the future of humanity, and those who have the finger on the button, they are the ones that on this side of the world have plenty of access to AR and VR. And would you not agree that maybe we could utilize the technology to help in a non-confrontational way, perhaps in non-threatening way, teach them and to begin to unravel the root and then get to that root problem, the root cause of this problem, which is really a mental health problem at the end of the day. Because nothing that has a drop of intelligence would do what we're doing to each other, would you say?
Could I just quickly share a story?
Oh, please.
I did a panel with some South Pacific tech people, and there was a man from a little island called Tuvalu, and they are under threat of sinking. In 100 years' time, their island could possibly be underwater. So what he's done or begun doing with his people is creating a digital twin, so that in that 100 years' time, when the future has no land of their own, and for lots of our cultures, our language and land and traditions are cemented. So he's creating that digital platform for them to always find home. So and of course he can create beautiful spiritual elements to it that you possibly can't see with one's own eyes of an island. One can create that in that digital platform. So I just thought that was such a beautiful way for technology to be used, that a whole future is still going to have a land and a language and traditions of their own. It's innate within us, but they'll be able to actually land in their avatar self on their own land. And I thought, wow, that's beautiful.
Well, I'm touched actually, and I can just visualize it. Now I've been given the 3-4 minute warning, so I'm going to ask, I want to just say thank GatherVerse and Chris for facilitating this, and I'll keep my last word till the end, which is I'll come back to it, to action, rather than title of the blah blah, and it's time to action. So I'm counting on this being the beginning of an amazing collaboration between us. I'm so grateful, and I will pass it to each of you. Please take a minute to just say your closing thoughts, and God help you, you're all stuck with me now. Actioning a change, really. Please, we'll go down around whoever wants to go next. Thank you so much.
I'll start. I think transforming communities for a nonviolent, climate resilient future starts by not fighting for it. Like lots of times we use this language where we're fighting for something or we're battling something, or but that type of resistance against something isn't how we're going to do it. It's going to come from nurturing and collaboration. Exactly. It's our great communal effort. Building community is about bringing people together, and we're all in this. We do need to work together to make it possible for us to be climate resilient. I mean, we're just going to have to constantly be on our toes and change and adapt and get ready for the floods and the freezes and the lack of water and the rising seas and our islands disappearing. Like all of this is going to happen, and the only way we're going to survive is as humanity together.
That's right.
So the language, we need to be really careful about the language that we use.
Language matters.
So many people say we're fighting for equity, and I'm like, no. If you want to be equitable, then that's togetherness. That's a nurturing. And that's why I love seeing so much feminine energy in this space, is because that's that nurturing energy. And that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, for me, as Athena said, collaboration is very important. Every day we have ups and downs. We should still keep believing in what are we doing, and we know that one day it will make a difference. That's the most important thing. And we are in our platforms are open to collaborate and work with anyone who believes in this message. We would love to, and I'm so happy to be here with you. You are amazing ladies. Thank you so much.
Keisha?
I'll just say, it is really great to see us come together as women in this space. And so I applaud the She Summit. Chris, thank you for having me and allowing us the space to have this conversation, right? And I think everyone in the chat has been on fire. I wrote down Chat GPT, which I'll be looking into because when I look at justice and utilizing AI, right, it's how do we take somebody in their normal dialect and be able to translate that in ways that allow them to leverage technology more. So this is just the beginning, and I'm super excited for everyone who's been participating.
Yeah, I really feel like we just need to keep doing what we're doing, and that over time there will become a critical mass, and that I think change can happen from the bottom up, right? So as more and more people in our communities get on board with the things that we're trying to make change. For myself, that's water conservation. As more and more people understand in an empathetic way what the problem is, then they're motivated to make change. And little by little, as more and more people get on board, that trickles up, right? And we start to expect and demand of our employers, of our family members, of our representatives to do the right thing.
And I'd just say it's really an encouragement to go step outside one's own community. And if you are a tech developer or you're in the law, or go start standing in other people's community, see what service you can be, start learning, feel uncomfortable. This is the time for it. This is what I feel. Being uncomfortable and the trialing and the testing of things. Coming on this made me feel very nervous. I did not sleep very well. So I put myself in the way of discomfort, because that's where change and innovation occurs. So I'm really grateful to have met you all, and I do hope that this is just the beginning of collaboration.
Sarah, thank you for, and it is in the middle of the night. Again, many thanks and gratitude to Chris and to GatherVerse for this amazing opportunity. And yeah, remember, the technology gives us a voice and a platform to make the change. So let's all get our heads out of where it is and step up to the plate. You can even have an avatar; nobody has to know it's you. And the best way to change, indeed, like Athena said, a system isn't to fight it, but rather to make it obsolete. So let's build the one that we want. I bless you all. I am so grateful to be in your company. I am very humbled and grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.